Hi, my name is Dr. Robin Abramczyk, and I'm a holistic and biological dentist in Heath, Texas. The name of my practice is Smile Ranch Dentistry, and I am here with my friend and blog writer, Michael McNeil.
Hello.
Hi. And we are here today to talk to you about mercury toxicity. So, statistically, approximately 50% of dentists in the United States place mercury fillings today. And that is shocking to me because mercury is known to be the most toxic non-radioactive element. And if you look at the order of toxicity, mercury would be at the top, and then cadmium, and then arsenic, and then thallium, and then lead. And Michael, would you ever want a lead filling in your mouth?
I never would.
Or an arsenic filling in your mouth?
No. Sounds terrible.
And mercury is even more toxic than all of those listed. It's at the very top of the chain. So it's very interesting that we would put that in a patient's mouth. Most mercury fillings are 50%, or most amalgam fillings are about 50% mercury. So it's the largest content of the material placed in that filling. So it is a mercury filling actually. And a lot of people will call them a silver filling or amalgam filling, but it's really a mercury filling. So the history of it is very interesting. Back in the early 1800s, that's whenever mercury fillings started being placed. In the 1830s, there were a couple of French brothers that migrated to New York, and that's whenever they started placing mercury fillings. Now, there were a group of physician dentists, and there were also a group of barbershop dentists. The alternative were gold fillings, and they were a lot more costly. So a lot of people would go to the barbershop dentist and get these mercury fillings done for a lot cheaper. And that makes sense because dentistry is expensive. But they started noticing certain people that were making hats would get Mad Hatter's disease. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
So these hat makers.
That's where Mad Hatters comes from.
Yes,
Wow,
exactly.
wow.
And so these people that would make the hats, they would get this neurological issues, become very, very sick. And there was a group of dentists, physician dentists, that recognized this, and they recognized that it was mercury that was causing the issue. So it was the American Society of Dental Surgeons in the early 1800s that formed a group that considered it unethical, and rightly so, to place mercury in patients' body. However, there was another group of dentists who struggled financially because these patients would go to the barbershop dentist, so they formed another group, and that group is called the ADA. They actually formed the ADA.
Wow.
Very interesting.
Unbelievable.
And it was
That's
because of money. So anyway, it is unethical, in my opinion, to place mercury in a patient's mouth because we know how toxic it is, and about 50% of the content is mercury.
That's right. Yeah, and one thing that is kind of upsetting to me too is because I have 4 children. And even in children's mouth, they place mercury, and we see rise of Alzheimer's and every neurological condition, autism. It is, hundreds of % more than we've seen even 25, 30 years ago. And I think it's due to that
heavy metal toxicity.
Definitely.
And we live in a toxic world.
That's right.
It's interesting if you look at dispersiloid, it's actually these green capsules, and you look at the contraindications. Mercury fillings should not be placed in a pregnant woman, in a child 6 or younger, or next to another metal, like say for instance gold. So that's very interesting, and I think this happens quite often. And again, it's unethical.
Definitely, yeah. I think it's a huge investment to make sure that you do have a biological dentist, someone that will use, you've done one of my fillings and you use zirconium, I believe. It's very safe, it's non-toxic, it feels great in the mouth, it feels natural. And I feel good being your patient, feeling good that I have something in my mouth that's not causing toxicity. When we already live in a toxic world. We don't need to have more in our mouth and have to, go through that whole, process. So.
Absolutely. So if we even look at other governing bodies like OSHA or the EPA, if you look at what drilling out a mercury filling, well, OSHA would consider that over 3,000 times what is safe. The EPA, it's over 13,000 times what they consider is safe to inhale. And so whenever we're removing a mercury filling without protection, without protecting our patients, our staff, ourselves, that is exposing the patient to over 13,000 times what is safe. That is shocking to me. Therefore, it is very important to find someone who is trained specifically on how to remove mercury safely from a patient's mouth.
Mm-hmm. Now, Dr. Robin, if they can't come see you, where do they go to figure out where they
Absolutely.
can get it?
So there are a couple of organizations that you can find a list of providers. You can actually go to Dr. Tom McGuire's website. That's the largest body of information on mercury toxicity that exists. You'll find a list of providers there. You can also go to the Holistic Dental Association, also the IAOMT, and they will provide a list of providers there for you.
Excellent.
Absolutely. So another thing is some people feel like, well, if it's so toxic, then maybe it's safer just to don't do anything about it, leave it in the mouth, and that's actually not true, because they've shown with any type of stimulation, whether it be chewing gum, whether it be brushing your teeth, whether it's drinking something hot, grinding your teeth, which most of us do at night, and all of those things will stimulate. Any temperature elevation would stimulate, and it would cause the mercury vapor to release, and that's really the form that's very toxic, is the vapor that comes off of that filling. So it is important that you have it removed, but safely. So whenever we do remove it, we follow a very safe protocol. I actually follow the IAOMT's protocol, but we even take measures over and above that. And we also recommend different supplements to help move the mercury out, or an extra layer of protection for our patient.
Mm-hmm.
So, wonderful. Okay, thank you so much for joining us today.
Good deal. Thanks.